Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. Are you ready to take your English to the next level and sound like native speakers? Of course you are, which is why you're here watching this video. What are we going to do in today's lesson? I'm going to focus your attention on all the structures, grammatical points, words and phrases that you can use and take advantage of to talk about what you prefer to do, without having to repeat the word prefer all the time. Now you might say, what is wrong with using the word prefer? I'm not saying it is wrong to use the word prefer. It is the most common way of talking about our preference, talking about what we prefer to do in English. But in order to avoid the repetition of this word, when we want to talk about our preference or what we prefer to do, like in different sentences, in so many sentences, instead of repeating this word again and again and all over again, we can simply use other structures and what I'm about to teach you in today's video. Are you ready? Of course you are. But before we continue, please like this video. I have a small channel which I want to take to the next level. So please like this video in support of this channel and its growth. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Leave some positive comments down below as well. Let's get started. The first word that we can use instead of the word prefer when we want to talk about our preference or when we want to say we prefer someone or something to someone or something else is to favor someone or something over someone or something else. So to favor X over Y, to favor someone or something over someone or something else, to favor A over B. When you favor A over B, it means you prefer A to B, right? So to favor A over B. Let me provide you with 3 examples. Why does our teacher always favor David over other students? Why does our teacher always favor David over other students? Which means, why does our teacher always prefer David to other students? She favors David over her other friends. She favors David over her other friends. She favors David over her other friends, which means she prefers David to her other friends. I always favor my family over anything else. I always favor my family over anything else. I always favor my family over anything else. I always favor my family over anything else, which means I always prefer my family to anything else in the world. So to favor A over B, which means to prefer A to B. So this is the first way of talking about our preference or talking about what we prefer to do. The second way of talking about what we prefer to do without having to repeat the word prefer like again and again and all over again is using the structure of would rather. Subject plus would rather plus bare infinitives. Now you might ask, what is bare infinitives? What do you mean by bare infinitives? Bare infinitives are the simple forms of verbs without to, without ed, and without ing. So when we talk about bare infinitives, we're talking about the base form of verbs without to, without ed, and without ing. So always keep in mind that when you use would rather, after would rather, you should use the base form of verbs. They're simple forms without ed, without ing, and without to. So subject plus would rather plus bare infinitives. Something else that you must also take into consideration when it comes to using would rather is we cannot use would rather to talk about what we prefer to do in all tenses, like in the future or the past and perfect tenses. No. We use would rather plus bare infinitives to talk about what we prefer to do only in the present. In order to talk about what we prefer to do in all tenses, or in order to express our preference in all tenses, we use the verb prefer, not would rather. Would rather is only used in the present, not in other tenses. But in order to talk about what we prefer to do in the past, in the future, in perfect tenses, we use the verb prefer. So this is the advantage that the verb prefer has over the structure of would rather. But something else that you need to take into account is would rather is more conversational and spoken, which makes it less formal than prefer, which means the other advantage that the verb prefer has over would rather is it is more formal than this structure. So subject plus would rather plus bare infinitives. Let me provide you with a couple of examples. I would rather learn English soon. I would rather learn English soon. I would rather learn English soon, which means I prefer to learn English soon. What would you rather do tonight? What would you rather do tonight? Which means what do you prefer to do tonight? What do you prefer to do tonight? She would rather spend time with her family. She would rather spend time with her family, which means she prefers to spend time with her family. The other structure, which is another version of would rather that you need to learn, is subject 1 plus would rather plus subject 2 plus the simple past tense. Now you might be wondering, why does this structure look like this? Why should we use this structure, and where exactly do we use this structure, and what is the difference between this structure and the original would rather structure? Keep in mind that when we say subject plus would rather plus do something, we're talking about what someone prefers to do themselves. For example, when I say I would rather go, what I mean is that I prefer that I go somewhere myself. But sometimes we want to say that we prefer someone else to do something. Subject A prefers subject B to do something. In such a case, we cannot use the original structure of would rather. We have to modify it to subject A plus would rather plus subject B plus the simple past tense in order to express the idea that subject A prefers subject B to do something. Let me provide you with a couple of examples to clear up the confusion and help you understand this structure better. I would rather you practiced English more. I would rather you practiced English more. I would rather you practiced English more, which means I prefer you to practice English more. I prefer you to practice English more. So I would rather you practiced English more. My father would rather I didn't waste my time. My father would rather I didn't waste my time. My father would rather I didn't waste my time. My father would rather I didn't waste my time, which means my father prefers me not to waste my time. My father prefers me not to waste my time. What would your father rather you did in your life? What would your father rather you did in your life? What would your father rather you did in your life? Which means, what does your father prefer you to do in your life? What does your father prefer you to do in your life? David would rather his sister didn't date Alex. David would rather his sister didn't date Alex, which means David prefers his sister not to date Alex. So this structure enables us to express the idea that we prefer someone to do something. Subject 1 prefers subject to do something. But in order to say it by using would rather, we say subject 1 would rather subject 2 did something or didn't do something. Something else about the structure of would rather that you need to take into account when it comes to using it is when we want to say that we prefer A to B or we prefer X to Y. By using the structure of would rather, again, we need to make some changes in this structure to be able to express the same idea by using it. So when we want to say we prefer X to Y, by using the structure of would rather, we should modify and change the structure of would rather to something that looks like this. Subject plus would rather do A than do B. Subject plus would rather plus do action A than do action B, which means our subject, which could be Alex, Peter, David, I, you, we, they, prefers to do action A to doing action B. So subject plus would rather plus do action A then do action B. Let me provide you with a couple of examples to clear up the confusion, right? She would rather make money than ask for money. She would rather make money than ask for money. She would rather make money than ask for money. She would rather make money than ask for money, which means she prefers to make money herself to asking others for money. So she would rather make money than ask for money. Another example, I would rather spend time with my family than waste time with my friends. I would rather spend time with my family than waste time with my friends. I would rather spend time with my family than waste time with my friends, which means I prefer spending time with my family to wasting time with my friends. David would rather make YouTube videos than play computer games. David would rather make YouTube videos than play computer games. David would rather make YouTube videos than play computer games, which means David prefers making YouTube videos to playing computer games. Alright guys, so this is how we can talk about what you prefer to do by using would rather. Let's move on to the next structure that you can use to talk about what you prefer to do without having to repeat the verb prefer, which is I would like to do something. The structure of subject plus would like plus to do something. Subject plus would like plus to do something. I would like to do something. You would like to do something. She would like to do something. When we say subject plus would like plus to do something, it means subject prefers to do something in the present. So we use would like to talk about what we prefer to do in the present tense too, similar to would rather. A couple of examples. I would like to order a sandwich. I would like to order a sandwich, which means I prefer to order a sandwich. What would you like to drink? Which means what do you prefer to drink? What would you like to drink? She would like to spend more time with her family. She would like to spend more time with her family, which means she prefers to spend more time with her family. So she would like to spend more time with her family. Alright, that's about it guys. So by taking advantage of what I taught you in today's lesson, you can simply avoid repeating the verb prefer like again and again and all over again, and you can avoid making your conversation look boring. Now what I kindly want you to do is like this video. Like it now. Just hit the like button in support of this channel to help it grow and be exposed to a larger number of people and students who are enthusiastic about learning English and taking their English to the next level. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet and leave some positive comments down below. I'll be back soon.